Communicate isn't just what you say, it's how you say it and how the other person receives it.
The biggest problem about communication is the illusion that it has taken place. So very often we think because we've spoken, we've communicated.
No.
But just like when you're playing basketball, you don't make a basket when the ball leaves your hand. You make a basket when the ball enters into the net. In the same way, when we're communicating, it's not about the words we release, it's about the words they receive.
Yeah.
Welcome to Relationship Real Talk. It's wonderful to have you join us on this episode. If it's your first time stopping by, I'm Mary Enyolu.
And I'm Julius Enyolu.
And we are your hosts on this show where we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real. So if you were with us on the last episode, we started to talk about some relationship blockers.
Yes, because it's super important that we identify those things that can hold us back.
Absolutely.
Because we want to have a great relationship, don't we?
Yeah, and these blockers we're talking about can relate to any type of relationship. So it could be between spouses, between friends, between siblings. There's some things that just kind of hinder us and prevent us from having those healthy, wholesome relationships that we want. So if you missed the episode, please make sure you catch it. You will be blessed by it. But today we want to just kind of try and wrap it up and talk about some other things that hinder relationships. And one that came to my mind was a big one: communication.
Communication is important because not only do you want to be heard, you want to be understood. And equally, if you want to be understood, then you're going to have to learn how to communicate. Communicate isn't just what you say, it's how you say it and how the other person receives it.
That's true.
It's a big part of relationship.
I mean, I heard somebody say once that biggest problem about communication is the illusion that it has taken place. So very often we think because we've spoken, we've communicated.
No.
But just like when you're playing basketball, you don't make a basket when the ball leaves your hand. You make a basket when the ball enters into the net. In the same way, when we're communicating, it's not about the words we release, it's about the words they receive.
Yeah.
So speaking in a way or communicating in a way that the other person receives. But number one, if we have to communicate. Some people don't even talk.
Well, you hear people saying, for example, that in a marital relationship, for example, we've been married for 25 years, we never had an argument. Well, you never had a real talk. Because if two intelligent people, and that's the truth of the matter, two intelligent people, it could be more than two, depending, I'm not just talking about marriage now, a relationship period. Two intelligent people having a relationship with one another, they're bound to have two different opinions. And the mistake that we tend to make is to make communication based on us. I learned earlier in life, it is the responsibility of the communicator
Be understood.
to make themselves understood. So if the other person has not understood what I'm saying, I could say they're slow, but I could equally say maybe I'm not saying this
Maybe
very
you're
well.
not a good communicator. Maybe you're not making yourself understood.
So you can say the best way you could, and then you turn to somebody else. Do you understand? They say yeah, and then you go, how come you don't understand? What?
Because we're all different. That's why they don't understand. We're all different. Yeah, but I mean, communication is so important because one of the other things that can cause problems in relationship is misunderstanding. When I'm on a different footing from you, and where there is no communication, then things can be easily misunderstood. So it's keeping the communication channel open in the first place. Because sometimes, especially when things are getting difficult, we can tend to hold back. We don't want to talk. But I think once you're able to keep the communication channel open, as difficult as it may be, as uncomfortable as it may be, then you give opportunity for us to move closer together and try and understand each other. So no matter how difficult it may be, communicating with the person you're trying to resolve issues with is so important to keep the communication channel open. But the other thing about communicating in the right manner or effective communication, I should say, is like you said, not just seeking to be heard, but seeking to hear.
Yeah.
So speaking with the aim to understand rather than to respond.
It's a great skill. It's a great skill to develop. Growing up, people tell us, speak up, speak for yourself. Everybody encourages you to speak for yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. You should be able to speak for yourself. But the importance of listening is not equally emphasized. So in order for you to effectively communicate, be it personal, be it business, you first need to understand each other.
Absolutely, because the thing is, I'm coming from somewhere, you're coming from somewhere. You don't know where I'm coming from. You don't know my perception of the whole thing. And so when you just stick to what you want to say and you just toe that line without trying to understand where I'm coming from, then we start to rub off, not on each other. We start to go against the grain. There's friction. But if I can just slow down and listen to what you're saying, we may even be, has it ever happened to you?
Of course, it happens.
We're just speaking to someone and then you go, we're saying the same thing.
If we had been listening to each other, we would have found out that we were speaking to each other. So understand, seek to understand.
Then to be understood.
Yes.
It's not easy though.
But it is, when you make the other person feel like they've been understood, the guard comes down a little bit.
I know. And I've learned so much personally. This is relationship real talk, so I'm going to keep it real. I've learned so much personally about this idea of listening before speaking. I think, to be fair with you, it comes natural. I hear people say all the time that you're a good listener, you're a great listener. But for me, I had to learn. So if you're listening to us and you're thinking, it's difficult, I just want to get my point across, you're not alone. I was like that. But as I started to invest in myself and develop myself, I realized it's actually easier to really, really pay attention to what the other person is saying. It just makes things easier. They're more open to hear what you have to say. You're better equipped and better placed to communicate what you want to say in a way they can receive, because you know where they are. So knowing where they are, you know what to say to reach them where they are. So it really is it's a great skill to have, to just hold back a little and listen.
When you reassure the other person that you understand where they're coming from, it changes something in them as well. It gives them confidence that I'm being understood. Therefore, I don't have to fight my ground. Because oftentimes when people get into conversations seeking to be understood, people get aggressive. But when you reassure them, and one of the tips that you can use to reassure them is repeat what you think they say. And that I learned in my day job back then. As a consultant, people say, I want this thing to fly from here to there, and then they say all these reasonable and unreasonable things, and then you catalog it. I think what I'm hearing you say, number one, you want this, number two, you want this, number three. Yeah, perfect, absolutely. Now that he's on my side because I've made him the hero of the story.
That's it. You're making them the hero of the story. They say people won't listen unless they feel they've been listened to. And very often, and so interrupting people, for instance, when you're interrupting someone when they're speaking, you're not making them feel heard. You're just waiting for them to shut up so you can say what you want to say. So not interrupting, not hijacking the conversation or what they're saying, just giving them that space to speak. So I think communication is such a big one. We're going to have to do a whole...
It's a big one.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a whole episode on it. So we're just hitting it, a very high level.
So something else I could chip in on having a conversation is, oftentimes when we're having conversation, if we're not careful, it becomes confrontational. It becomes an argument. For me, even when talking about politics, even when I have strong views about something, I seek the truth rather than being the right one. I seek the truth, meaning I'm open to listen to what you're saying, because maybe you have a valid point that I should change my conclusions.
Right, so you're more interested in doing right than being right.
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying.
I'm seeking the truth rather than being the one, Julius is right,
So you're open just in the event the person has the truth.
Because there are possibilities that you are wrong. For me, the only time I would say, there is no alternative to distruth is when it is based on scripture or truth. But if it's an open conversation like, oh, this government is good or this government is bad, you have your strong views, they have their strong views, then listen to each other. You don't necessarily don't seek to be right.
Yeah.
Just seek rightness. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you seek to do the right thing rather than seeking to be right, because that's when you hold on to your position irrespective of what's going on.
Exactly.
Like I said, we need to come back to communication because it's such a big one. But just again, high level, hitting the bullet points on some of those things that hinder relationships. The next one for me would be fear. Fear is such a big one. People will go fear of what? Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged, fear of being taken advantage of. Just fear. Those things.
Fear of being seen not to be perfect. Fear
of, like you say, I think we said that, fear of being taken advantage of, which will cause you to build a wall around yourself, which can now keep you in a prison. That wall that you've built as a protection for yourself, so
becomes your prison.
Becomes your prison, and so you're not trusting. People say things like, I can't trust. So the question is, why can't you trust? Because of past experience.
It could be because of or lies that other people told them. It could be that they never even experienced it. Because you hear sometimes, you're moving to Manchester. Oh, Manchester. People are horrible in Manchester. You've never experienced it, and then you get to Manchester. Oh, look at all these horrible, evil people, because they've told you that people are evil, so...
Like we said last episode, when you start to expect people to be horrible to you, you start to see people who are horrible to you, and you start to attract that.
And then
that becomes your reality.
You feel you're right, you created it and you experienced it, so it's not always easy. It comes to some people easier. Fear is a big one.
It's a massive one. It's a massive one. So, how do you handle it though? Because that's real, isn't it? That can be really painful if you've had really serious experiences in the past where someone let you down big time. How do you overcome that fear of it happening again? So, because the truth of the matter is that if there's no trust, there's no relationship.
No.
Some people will even argue that trust is more important than love. If there's no trust, there's no relationship. So to really build the sort of relationship you want, you need to be able to trust. But how do you overcome the sort of really challenging?
Well, somebody said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you need to go with people. You can't do much in life without relationship, right? And that's fundamental. And yes, there are possibilities of running into terrible people, but I often say to people, there are more good people than are evil people. You've got to be open, open to people, because life will attract you to the people that you desire, even though you may along the way bump into horrible people. But I assure you, there are more good people everywhere around you than there are evil people.
So in a sense, going on balance of probabilities, take a risk. Take a risk.
It's worth it.
Chances of you meeting someone who would be positive is higher than meeting someone again who is negative. So on the balance of probabilities, take a risk. To be honest, just take a risk. Because in life, you have to take risks.
And it's a mindset. I think we said it before. You create your own world by your own thoughts.
That's true, but there are some horrible people.
I'm telling you, there are horrible people. However, even if the horrible people are standing next to me, life will push him another way, because I am not expecting horrible people.
And I think some of it goes back to this self-esteem we talked about last. I don't know if we talked about it last episode, but self-esteem. I find that people who have low self-esteem and low expectation of life, they tend to attract negative things. So if you have a low self-esteem and you don't think you're really worthy of love, you don't really feel like you're worthy of good things coming to you, you will find that you tend to attract people who are mean to you, people who are horrible to you. So I think it goes back to number one, building your self-esteem. But it also, I think, it requires you taking a risk. Because remember we said, if you build that wall, even though the wall appears to be protecting you, what you actually do is you build a wall that that puts you in a prison.
Yeah.
So take a risk. But the other thing I would say, practical maybe, is rather than making, we have the traffic lights. We have green, amber, red. So what happens when people have bad experiences? They normally just go to red.
Yeah.
I will never.
It's a default of the brain, isn't it? It pushes you to a safe
because
place.
You want to protect you.
Yeah.
Your brain wants to protect you. So I will never do that again. I will never trust a man again. I will never have a joint account with somebody. I will never. No. Rather than saying I will never, bearing in mind not everybody is the same.
Exactly.
At the very least, put it on amber.
Yeah. I'll be more careful.
Approach with caution.
Yeah.
Approach with caution. Don't just assume. Don't assume the next person is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. But don't make them out to be a devil either. Because even when they're trying to be good to you, because you're looking for a devil, they say to you good morning, you're like, why are you saying good morning?
Yeah. Why are you saying it that way? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair as the jailer. But unfortunately, you participate in the imprisonment. Like you said, you create this thing that is supposed to protect you, but it jails you. It keeps you hindered.
And the thing is, love is what breaks fear.
Conquers all fear.
The Bible says love conquers all things.
Yeah.
Perfect love casts out fear. So just speaking to maybe to the other party, if you're in a relationship, for instance, where someone is holding back, they're not being vulnerable, they're not being transparent, they're not being open because of past hurts, the way that they're going to overcome that is if you love them. If you love them unconditionally, that love that you have for them, that you express to them, is going to help them put their guards down, and it's going to get rid of that fear.
You reassure them.
Casts out fear.
Yeah. You reassure them and you draw them in. Like I said earlier, there are more good people than bad people. However, there are a lot of hurt people, who are overprotective, who have unbecome what they were originally created to be free, to be loving, to be empowered because of their past behaviors. If you have the strength to be who you are, free, empowered, and confident, help people cautiously, in love, like you said, bringing them to that place of reassurance that they can live again and breathe again.
Listen, if what we're saying just sounds like, oh, you don't even know what I've been through, you don't even know my situation, it's all well and good for you to talk like that, then drop us a comment, drop us a question. We would love it. We want to keep it real, we really do. So drop us a comment, drop us a question. We will answer your questions and we will keep it real. We will. I think maybe before we wrap up, just one more coming to my mind with respect to relationship blockers, and that's different personality styles.
Big one.
Again, that's a big one. And to be fair, I think we'll probably have to revisit all of these again and go into more detail.
It's enough as a topic on their own, because you have to understand, even if they didn't go to formal school, formal education, this is an intelligent being, formed and shaped by experiences and family background and everything. Do never expect them to be just like you. You may have similarities, but they are fundamentally different. So be open to their uniqueness. Embrace their uniqueness. Don't try to make people like yourself. And trying to change people is just going to be painful for you than it is for them, and futile and damaging to your relationships. Accept that people are different. So now learn to accommodate different people. They got something to offer, and you will never get what they got to offer until you're open to their uniqueness.
And you're right. I mean, I did a video on this a while ago. Actually, I put it on social media. I said the day I got free from a mistake I made for most of my life. I mean, in your head, you know that we're all different. But if we're all going to be honest, we tend to deal with other people as if they're like us.
We see life the way we are rather than...
We expect them to know what we know. We expect them to just respond to things the way we would respond. And when they don't, you're like, why are you not responding that way? That's how I would respond. But people are different. And like you said, we're all a combination of so many things. One is genetic makeup. One is our past experiences. One is our upbringing. So all those things shape who you are. And it's different to the other person. So I mean, with our relationship, for instance, I know that that's something that we have had to work on. We are different, but it's not a weakness, it's a strength. You only make it a weakness when you expect the other person to be with you. And several times I've said to you, I'm not like you. I'm not like you. I don't want to be like you. So you, for instance, you're very people oriented. You love to have a conversation with people. How many times have we fought when we're supposed to be going down your phone for an hour chatting? I'm like, honey, we're late. But me, I'm like, right? I'm very like goal oriented, results driven.
But there is a lot of good in not necessarily adapting, but opening up yourself to welcome the uniqueness of the other person. Because, like I said earlier, if you want to go far in life, you need to work with people.
I think people know that. Well, what people are not aware of is the fact that the reason why we're having these challenges is because we're different. For me personally, maybe because of my training, because particularly with human behavior, my understanding and my knowledge about human behavior has really helped me personally with my personal relationships. Understanding this person is not just trying to be difficult. It really is just the way they are. So when I understand that, then it frees me. And I mean, even with our relationship, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was thinking, you've really rubbed off on me because you've made, I remember when we just started quoting you, honey, relax. Can't you just relax? And I'm like, I'm relaxed. When we get everything done, then I'll be relaxed. Come on, go. But from you, I've learned to relax a bit more, even when things are not going how I expect it to go. Because I've started to learn that even though I'm like, honey, we should be doing this, we should be doing this, we should be doing this. Have you done that? Have you done that? Sometimes when I don't get it all right, sometimes it still works out. Yeah. So like you said, rubbing off on each other, I've learned to relax a little bit more. But obviously that is my genetic makeup. Yeah. That is how I'm made. Yeah. I'm made to get things organized, get things done. Yeah. So I will always be like that. Yeah. But I have learned to just to chill as well a little bit.
But the truth is, there are certain, there are a few achievements in life that I would probably never attain or achieve without your go-getness, your drive. Yeah, because I was speaking to somebody, my financial advisor earlier in the week, and he says, Julius, you're in a good place. And I said, credit to my wife, and I said, well, credit to both of you, So that's what I'm saying. You are great as you are. There is no fault in you, and the other person is great, and there is no fault in them, but you need each other. And the only way you're going to really benefit from each other is be open to their uniqueness.
And be accepting.
Yeah.
Be accepting.
Don't criticize it. Admire it. Like when we just met, one of the few things that attracted me to you was you. And one of the many things, one of the many things that attracted me to you is your strength. And that strength can become annoying sometimes.
It can become a problem, I know.
Yeah, it can become annoying, like, and then you realize that's what I probably like the most about them, So, yeah, it's receiving.
And similarly, sorry to interrupt you, my mom always says it, that when I brought you home, my mom looked at him and I was like, she said him out in my language, why did you go and bring somebody that's so dark?
Can you imagine that?
We're all light skin in our family. And my mom says it till today that I said to her, he's very caring. And she says, and it's true, you're very caring. But that caring nature in you sometimes is frustrating to me because it's like, why are you spending an hour having a conversation with somebody when we're supposed to be doing something? So we say it jokingly, but it's the truth. Yeah. You take the person good, bad, and ugly. Yeah. Because those things that is irritating you about them is their strength. Yeah. But the person on the other hand, you be aware that your strength, when it's overused, can become a weakness.
Yeah, and that's why you need each other to remind yourselves and to balance each other out.
Yeah.
It's the power of relationship. Somebody said interdependency is greater than independence. Mm-hmm. When a child is grown up, they want to be independent. They want to leave. And then they realize
it never happens.
I really need to depend on the other person. When they say no one is an island, it's so true. You can stay on your own, but you will not do well on your own.
Absolutely.
It's super important.
Absolutely.
Relationship is a massive thing that has to be continually explored.
Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been fun for us, and we hope it's been fun for you. But more importantly, that you've learned some things from what we've talked about. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like the video, share the video share. If you've been uplifted by it, let others hear this and be uplifted by it as well. And don't forget to join us on the next episode. We're going to be talking about some relationship myths.
You don't want to miss that.
We're going to be busting those myths. So do join us on the next episode of Relationship Real Talk, where we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real.
Thank you.